Yourself in Me, our congregational song. All right, here we go, y'all. Technology is going crazy this morning.
Walker and our housebound Sounds of Spirit. Thank you very much. And good morning. I'm Kevin Busey. I have the great joy and honor to be the spiritual leader of this community, and I just welcome you, whether you join us online here this morning, whether you're here in person, whether you've been coming with us from the beginning or you're new this morning, I welcome you. I welcome you. Let's find out what our youth are doing. Johnny's up to let us know what the kids are doing.
Good morning, family. My name is Johnny. Along with Simon, we make up youth ministry here at Spirit Center. We have space for preschool up to teenagers. We have fun activities. Here's one of my favorites. Hey, want to say hi?
Hi.
That's Luca. Luca says hi. We have preschool up to teenagers. We go back and forth between going to the park and doing some running around. Then we alternate with lessons and activities. Today's a park day, but it's rainy, so the small ones are going to do some yoga next door. And Simon has something planned for the older kids, so we invite you to come join us here at Spirit Center. We have lots more room for kids.
Good. Thanks, Johnny. Good. So I also want to mention, just to save the date, January 29th, which is a Sunday, after our second gathering, after this gathering, Joe Chivarella and his husband Ryan are opening their house to the experience of a home group experience. So we have home groups. They're throughout the county, actually. They're either on Zoom or in person. And it's an opportunity for a group of people to come together and share a meal and share what's going on in their lives in reference to the talks that happened that particular Sunday. Or that particular month. So we're hosting for the whole community a home group. It's an open house at Joe and at Ryan's. There will be food. There will be an opportunity to see their new condo. So even if you're not particularly interested in a home group, come by. Join the group, join the open house, have some food. We'll see you there on the 29th. So you can save that date. And also, we have a lot of announcements, so let's take a breath. Lee's going to move through them quickly, and I heard rumor that he might have a Bob joke at the end of his.
I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. Hi, everyone. I'm Lee Armentrout. I get to share with you the announcements. I'm going to click through them pretty quickly so that we're just not sitting here breathing. But the first one's particularly important. It's our history. So we pay attention to what has happened in the past so that we can make a better tomorrow. Our history. Newly elected Governor George Wallace calls for segregation forever. So on January 14, 1963, after being overwhelmingly elected by white Alabama voters, George Wallace, the infamous segregationist and white supremacist, delivered his inaugural address as the governor of Alabama and called for segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. Throughout his speech, he condemned integration and criticized federal intervention in state affairs. To overcome racial inequality, we must confront our history and become aware of how that participates in every area of our life. And we are all part of our history. Racial Equality Project's call to action. Watch the powerful TED Talk called Color Blind or Color Brave. I've seen it. It's very powerful. Do it. Racial Equality page on our website. Awakening Wednesday, Rev Sherry is in the room. She'll stand up when I say her name. Rev Sherry is online for Awakening Wednesday, Interfaith Spiritual Connection. So with her guest, her brother Yusuf Miller, and it's going to be about how we practice our spirituality through diversity. Yes, don't sit down. Sherry, sit back up. So 2 hybrid classes. Hybrid means you can come in person and you can join us online at the same time. So those people online, hi online people, you can join this class as well. It's called Foundations for Spiritual Living. It's the introductory course for our philosophy. It's a great way to take spiritual principles and apply them to your life and make yourself a better life. So Sherry's going to start that on January 17th at 6:30. It goes for 11 evenings, Tuesday evenings. And then another reverend, I think, is going to stand up. We got a ton of them. Rev Sarah is going to do a book study on a powerful book called Roar Like a Goddess. Try it. All women are invited to attend. It's 4 weeks starting January 26th at 6:30. And that also is an offering that you can come in person and you can join online as well. See our website on the classes tab. Martin Luther King Day of Service was yesterday. It's going to be tomorrow. It's canceled because of rain, and they've moved it to February 20th. So that's a day of service, an interfaith opportunity to clean up the park and be in fellowship with others. Third Saturday with Angels with Margot Alora. So this is a chance to tune in to other energies with the powerful Margot Alora, and that's going to be at her home. So to find out where she lives, you have to get through me. So info@universalspiritcenter.org, and it's from 1 to 3 on Saturday coming up. And then lastly, Spirit in Action. Thanks to all the people who helped serve the people at People Assisting the Homeless downtown last month. That was a great experience. And come and volunteer. The next date is Tuesday, January 24th at 5 p.m. There's a QR code on the Yes table. You can sign up using that QR code. So Bob generally does announcements, and he always does a dad joke at the end. And he slipped me a piece of paper, and I don't know what it has. It says here. What does a tick and the Eiffel Tower have in common? They're both parasites.
We got our Bob joke. So I want to give a plug in to assisting the homeless. That's a great. I go on when we go on Tuesday nights. It's a powerful experience. Not only do we prepare food for people who are at this homeless shelter, but then we serve the people. We've been able to do that lately. Since COVID, we serve the people. It's a really great interaction and they're so happy that we're joining them with serving them. So put a plug in for that. So I'm going to invite all of you to stand. I'm going to invite you to turn around and look below the clock, and there is a camera there where we're welcoming all of you who join us online. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being part of our community. We're glad that you're with us, and I'm going to invite you to turn to each other and welcome each other to Universal Spirit Center.
All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Get that one last hug in and head back to your seat. Good morning, everybody. My name is Hunter Tallman. I'm one of the many licensed prayer practitioners here at Universal Spirit Center, and I'm here to lead us in our time of meditation, prayer, and a reading. Just one note, there is a live in-person brief affirmative prayer at the back of this hallway at the end of the gathering. Also, if you'd like to leave a written request for a prayer, one of our practitioners will reach out to you via phone or email. So let's take a deep breath, move into that contemplative, meditative state, allowing our exhales to root us into our bodies, into this place, into this time. One more breath in and out. And I'll begin with a reading. We'll have some time of silence, which will conclude with a prayer. Today's reading comes from Michael Singer, author of Living Untethered. You can let your blockages go if you really want to. What would you be willing to go through for the most fulfilling love relationship, a constant state of well-being, and the ability to feel the presence of God flowing through you at all times? How good it is to know. How good it is to know the presence of God right here, right now. How good it is to know the power of God, the capability of that power to clear away any blockages that's preventing us from experiencing the unconditional love and support of God. How good it is to know that love. How good it is to know the presence of God flowing through each and every single person who made today possible. Through the message of Rev Kev, through the music of Gino Walker and the sounds of Spirit Band, to every one of you watching at home, to all people that enabled that online presence possible, to everyone that's set up, to each and every single person sitting in the chair right now, how good it is to know the power of God clearing away the blockages, that we can experience the truth of love. how good it is to know that power, how good it is to know that love. And it's with that knowingness that I'm able to surrender us to that spirit, to that presence, to that love, to the infinite power of the universe, which is constantly calling, which is constantly creating, which is constantly loving.
If I can let go, the darkness will fade. If I can just let go, there's a light all around me. The pain in my thoughts have kept me holding on. But I feel like letting go. I'm ready to run and I'm ready to leap into what is real. Got a sweet invitation, a mandate of ecstasy. Let go of your will, drop your tools and follow me. I won't abandon my vision. It's time to be free. I feel like letting go, let go, let God, let go. I feel like letting go, let go, let God, let go. I feel like letting go, let go, let God, let go. I feel like letting go, let go, let God, let go. If you can let go, heaven's at hand right now. New life is awaiting as I rearrange these old facts of mine. But I'm tired of holding on. My heart is making an authentic appeal. Ooh, it's such a sweet invitation, a mandate of ecstasy. Let go of your will, drop your tools and follow me. I won't abandon my vision. It's time to be free. I let go, the darkness will fade. Pray to let go. Let it all go.
Gino and our house band. And I want to acknowledge Kevin Lum, who joins us today. And Linda Ely has been begging for some time off, so we finally gave her 2 weeks off. Finally. She never takes time off, that woman. So Gino singing that song, Letting Go, reminds me of what Gandhi had said. Gandhi said about the Bhagavad Gita, and the Bhagavad Gita is a very powerful Hindu scripture, Bhagavad Gita. And it's, numerous chapters. And Gandhi said, the Bhagavad Gita and the whole spiritual life could be summed up in 2 words. Letting go. Letting go. So I just thought that was a very powerful song. That was a very powerful song. So we're talking this month about living untethered. It's Michael Singer's second book, first book being The Untethered Soul, which I think has really become a spiritual classic. We're halfway through the book, and we'll continue through the end of the month going through this book, Untethered Soul. And the truth is, that's exactly what he talks about, is living untetheredly. It's about letting go. It's about letting go. And I have some bad news to share. This sexy voice you hear from me, it's going away. I'm getting minor surgery. They got to remove a little nodule from my vocal cords. So next time you hear me, my sexy voice will be gone. But please come back. Please come back for that. So the next week or two, Reverend Sarah will be speaking from this book as well. So I want to let you know that. I wanted to let you know that in February on Wednesdays, doing a book study on this book. You're all invited to that experience. And this Wednesday night from 6:30 to 7:30, we're going to have a little tease or a little intro, free intro about the study of this book. So if you're inspired today or about the book, join us across the street in our classroom at 6:30 on Wednesday, okay? So there's that. And the only final thing that I want to say as an upfront introduction is some of you I know got the book. Some of you are saying you're liking it. But I'm sorry to break the news to you that clearly Michael Singer wrote this book for me. It's just other people happen to be reading it. So I'm finding this book very, very powerful. And we have maybe 1 or 2 copies left in the back. I'm not sure even. So Michael Singer sums up the material in the book with an analogy. He talks about a hot air balloon, attached to a basket that people would kind of get in and go up. And he talks about it being tethered. 4 corners, it's tethered. They're tethered. And he said that's actually where he got the name of the book, the 2 books, Untethered. So a hot air balloon, imagine it's tethered on the four corners, right? So it doesn't matter how much helium you put into the balloon if it's tethered. It doesn't matter how light that basket is to make it go higher if it's tethered. The truth is, unless that balloon, hot air balloon, is untethered, it won't move. It won't change. It won't go higher. And he said, this is a perfect analogy for our lives. That we have a tendency to want to change the outside to make ourselves feel better, to be happy, to be comfortable, that we're changing the outside. Our attention is out there. And his point is, if you're tethered, it's not going to matter how you change the outside. So Michael Singer says we have within us, we're going to talk about this morning, energy blocks that keep us from our happiness. We have internal energy patterns that keep the flow of peace and happiness moving through us. So if you change your outside world and you realize that's not the answer, he clearly calls us to releasing the energy blocks, the tethers that we have inside of us. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So Michael Singer in the book, this is a quote, says, the wise person removes the inner blocks to be happy. The unwise person tries to change the outside. That's a quote from him in the book. So the energy blocks, I find this fascinating. He calls, I mentioned this last week, but I pronounced the word wrong. It's called samkaras. Samkaras. That's a description that is found in the oldest Hindu scripture there is, the Upanishads. That, as we know on the planet today, is the world's oldest scripture, Upanishads. It's from the Hindu tradition. And in this work of the Upanishads, they talk about samkaras, which are stuck energy patterns within us. I mentioned this last week. So what's amazing to me is the 1,000 of years ago that this scripture was written, the first scripture, points to and describes these energy patterns that block us from our happiness. I just find that amazing. The very first scriptures talk about that. So he talks about in the book samkaras. And he gives kind of a technical explanation about how these energetic patterns happen in us. So what he says is this. There are 3 things that cause an energetic pattern. Something that happens in the outside world, and we take it in, we experience it, and we have thoughts about that, or we have feelings about that. And that creates an internal pattern to us, those 3 things that are going on. So he gives an explanation of this in that, imagine you're walking down the street. Imagine you're walking down the street on the sidewalk. And as you walk, many things pass you. You know, a person, a tree, a lamppost, maybe a dog tied up, other people, storefronts, all these things are passing you. And most all of them don't stick in your consciousness. They don't stick in your awareness. They come and go. So we have most things when we go through our life. They kind of come into our awareness and they go right out. We couldn't possibly hold all those things in us, right? So they come in and they go out. And Michael Singer says most of them are neutral. They pass right through us. But he says some of them go through a filter. And the filter is either we don't like what's happening, we don't like it, so we resist it, or we like it and we want more of it. So these energy patterns are either we like something and we cling to it, or we don't like it and we resist it. And he says, when that happens, he says, our minds make a mental concept of it and freezes it within our system. So then we have a situation in which we like something, we cling to it, we need more of it, we seek it out on the outside of it, right? And that is one way. Or we experience something and we don't like it. So we back away, we resist it, we don't like it. Both of those things disturb our inner peace. Buddhists say, and spiritual teachers say, that our normal state is peacefulness. And when we have these samkaras happening around or stirring around in us, they disturb our peace. Does this make sense? Does anyone have any questions or thoughts? This is a little technical to me. I've never heard it explained like this before. I find it fascinating how these blocks originate in us. Anyone want to say anything now in relation to this subject? Yeah, Joel. Good, thank you. So I want to share an experience that happened. Go ahead. Trauma. If we have early trauma, that creates blocks, yeah. So I want to share an experience that happened yesterday morning because it was so powerful to me that it happened that I just feel like I need to share it with us. So there's a group of us here, you may know this, that play pickleball on Saturday morning, and you're all invited to play. But there's a group of us that do, and so we were playing yesterday morning. I was playing with the group, and I noticed that a man had come into the court, but he wasn't dressed in gym shorts. He wasn't going to play. He was just watching. And at one point, I was aware that he was watching how good I play. How I never miss a shot. Those of you who are sworn to secrecy, right? So, and I noticed like he's kind of watching me, and then the ball goes over to him because I certainly didn't miss the ball. I'm sure my partner missed the ball. So it goes over next to him. So I pick up the ball, and he looks at me and he says, Kevin Busey. And I'm thinking, I'm automatically, oh, it's someone who's been to the center before who I don't recognize. I said, yeah. And he says his name. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 30 years ago, I used to work with this guy. I was a director of a social service agency, and he was a social worker there. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm so surprised to see you randomly. And he goes, I live in this complex where we play at. So after the game, my partner, I kicked their butts on the other side. Then I went over and I talked to him, and he says, yeah, we just moved here. We had moved to Washington State, but he said, my son was killed. And I had met his son. He said, my son was killed about a year ago. And I met his son. And I'm just like, you're kidding. And I'm like, how are you? How is this? And he talked about this overwhelming grief in such a way that his only choice with it was to be with it. It was so strong. He couldn't deny it. He couldn't do other things to fix it. That's probably the epitome of grief. And he's like, I'm just with it. Now, I realize, take a breath here. I realize that's an extreme case that happened yesterday. I felt like I should share it because he talked about being with it. But that's a call. It's to be with these stuck energy patterns. That's a way to loosen them up. It's a way to start to dissipate them. Is when you and I pay attention to what's going on the inside, which is a challenge, right? Because you and I were taught if we fix out there, we'll feel better. That's not what Michael Singer is saying. That's not what edge spiritual leaders or writers are telling us. The edge of spirituality is to be with those things within us that are uncomfortable or that cause us pain. Let's take a breath here. If you're new today, know that we breathe a lot here. It's better than the option of not breathing. So I like things to go a certain way. Some of you who know me know that's really true about me. How many of you could relate to wanting things to go a certain way? Okay, some of you didn't raise your hand, and I could call you out. We do like that, right? We like that. So, and I specifically, one way I like things to go my way is when I'm driving. I like it when people use their signals. I don't like it when people don't use their turn signals. I don't like it, no matter how fast I'm going or slow, I don't like it when someone in front of me is going slower. I don't like it when someone in back of me is going faster, right? How many could relate? I don't like it when someone is not paying attention. Those are, for me, triggers. Now, I do think some of where that comes from for me on an intense level is, for years I've ridden a motorcycle. And so those kinds of things of drivers not paying attention and speed and blinkers are really important on a motorcycle because they can save one's life. So I think I kind of got that somewhere there. Regardless, I get agitated. I get stuck in it, right? Because it's unsafe. I feel threatened by that. So usually when we activate a pattern within us, there's some trigger of us not feeling safe and that we feel threatened. So that might be a clue or a cue for you as to this energetic pattern within you. So the other night, I'm walking my dogs, and it was twilight. It wasn't light, and it wasn't dark. It was in between. So I come to a corner in my neighborhood, and I'm waiting. There's this car that's clearly stopped. I look at it, tinted windows, so I can't really catch the driver's attention. But I start across the street because he stopped. The driver stopped. So as I start across the street, he makes a turn and comes right at me. And I go like this, like, don't go any further. And I wasn't panicked that he was going to hit me. I was extremely agitated, right? I mean, I just felt this instant energy. Instant. So as I pass him, he rolls down the window. And he says, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you. And instantly, the anger dissipated. And I turned to him and I said, okay, like, we're fine, you know, no big deal. He says again, I'm so sorry, man. I didn't see you. So instantly, that reaction left me. One thing Michael Singer says it's imperative to do is let things go. Let it go. So when I've been reading this, I'm like, honestly, when I've been reading this last couple of weeks, I'm like, can the mind really let something go that thoroughly? Can the mind do that? So this experience happens where I start to get triggered, and I've got to tell you, the whole way home, I would have judged that guy. I would have thought about it. I would have thought what I should have said to him if his window was down. I would have done all this stuff, right? But in this instant, when he said, I'm sorry, it dissipated. And I'm not saying if things don't go our way, we need to be apologized to. That's not my point here. My point is this. In an instant, our minds have the ability to let something go. In an instant, that can happen. And Michael Singer, in his first book, Untethered Soul, one of the things that impact me so much about that is he says, let it go as soon as you can. Don't let it stick, because we have this filter. Do we like it, and then we're going to cling to it? Do we dislike it, and we're going to avoid it? He says, don't get that far in it. Let it go, because here's what happens when we let it go. We can return, and to a peaceful state. I have an image of a pond where it's so glassy and it's so still, like our inner nature, one of peacefulness. So then when I like something or start to cling to it, or dislike something, avoiding, it starts getting the waters disturbed because there's a disturbance in me. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I want something to have to be a certain way, right? So she shared this story once before, but in riding a motorcycle, I'm aware, and we're taught when you ride a motorcycle to keep your awareness as full as you can. You kind of scan back and forth to anything, not just what's in the street, but a child or a dog can come into the street, or a car turning you, and your life kind of, more so than even driving, kind of depends on that, your ability to be aware. So when that happens, I remember one particular time I'm riding down Adams, which is near where I live. Adams, and a car pulls out in front of me. And luckily, I avoided the person. I avoided the car, right? But I was charged. I'm like, oh my God, that was risky. And I had the awareness, I need to let go of this energy of reaction right here and now. Because I have to be present by the time I get to the next corner. I can't have my focus on what should have happened. I have to be clear about what's happening in front of me. Gotta let it go. Does that make sense? So I can be present to my life. So Michael Singer in this book shares a story about a young monk and an older monk. Do you notice a lot of stories are about younger monks and older monks? So there's this younger monk that each day goes and sees his spiritual teacher. He travels from where he lives to the monastery where he lives to the hut that the spiritual teacher lives in. So he passes there. So one day he comes before the monk. He comes every day. So one day the master monk looks at this young monk and says, something's different about you. You're peaceful. You're really light. Light is radiating from you. What happened? And the monk said, for some time now, I've been walking from my monastery to your hut. And every time on that path, there's a tree I pass. And when I first see the tree, I think that tree reminded me of when I was growing up. And I climbed the tree, and I fell, and I broke my arm. So when I saw that tree, I thought of something bad happening. And then he goes, but sometimes I would pass that tree, and it reminded me of the tree in which the Buddha sat under for his enlightenment. And I wanted to go crawl under that tree and be with that tree and not leave that tree. He says, but today, I saw the tree without attachment. When I happened to look at the tree, for the first time, I saw the tree without history or without expectation. And it opened my heart and it opened my mind. And the teacher, the older teacher, just smiled. So the universe wants us to bring about from within ourselves a state of peacefulness and happiness. Because that's how we reflect divine energy. That's how you and I reflect divine energy. And then we take that openness, that peacefulness, and we go into our lives and we change our lives. So what the universe does is it sets up opportunities for us to be triggered. It sets us up. Michael Brown, in another edge thinking book, Presence Process, says the universe sets us up with these energetic reactions not to change the outside, but to come present to those blocks within us, that those blocks could be removed so that we feel a greater sense of peace and a greater sense of happiness. The universe wants us to be happy and peaceful. And so the universe is going to show us where our triggers for clinging are and where our triggers for resistance are. Let's take a breath here. Are you guys breathing fully through this, or am I just not breathing fully through this? So Michael Singer says this a couple times in the book. We're going to conclude with this, but he says, the next time you resist something, you don't like something, he says, look at it and realize this has been 14 billion years in creation for this to happen. Or the next time you cling to something, that you want something, that you desire something, realize that that situation is going to change. And this call is to come home to ourselves and to do the inner work. So let's take another breath. I'm going to ask you to sit up straight and tall in your seat and move your shoulders back. There's this piece of in the book that I want to read in Living Untethered. So take a deep breath. Move your shoulders back. Move them back in such a way, and not back up, but back down a bit. So your shoulder, your chest kind of protrudes out. Couple deep, full breaths in. So you have a spaciousness within to hear a voice. This is a reading from Michael Stillwater's book. Once you are no longer conflicted inside, a whole new other life becomes possible for you. As you release blockages, your energy is freed and you start to feel happier. You start to feel higher. You start to feel like you used to feel when something good was going on. But this time, nothing special is going on. You're just feeling an uplifting energy going on inside of you that keeps you going higher and higher. You start feeling love simply because the sky is blue. It used to take a special moment in a relationship to blow you away like that. This is because you are more open. You are more receptive. So right now, choose to be open. So we breathe into this sacred moment here now. We ask for divine assistance. We ask assistance from beings of light to join us in this inner journey. To see these triggers as opportunities or calls to be healed, to be open, to be more loving. Let's come into awareness that it took 14 billion years to create this moment. This moment is sacred. This moment is holy.
is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two. Jesus made the water wine. I remember feeling sad. Miracles don't happen still. But now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Sing it with me. Everything is holy now. 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 Vibrant water is not so small. A better magic trick. Anything is here at all. So challenging the things that come. Not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was wet best, it barely wet my fingertips. But now I have to hold my breath, like I'm swimming in the sea. It used to be a world half there. Heaven's a second-rate hand-me-down. I'm walking with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Sing along. Everything is holy now. 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 Vibrant water, it is not too small. A better magic trick. Anything's here at all. So challenging the things become. Not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. This morning outside I stood and saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. It made me wanna bow my head. Remember church let out. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Come on. Everything is holy now. 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 Everything
No wonder why I need voice surgery. So I have a question for you. I ran across this book, When Things Fall Apart, and I'm kind of feeling like next month in February to do this as a book study. It's written by a Buddhist monk, Pema Chodron. So if you're interested in that, would you be interested in going through this next month? It's about how difficult times open our hearts. Yeah. I did that as a book study? Yeah? Okay. Want feedback? And online, let us know. Email me, revkevin@universalspiritcenter.org. I would just like some feedback before I move into the next book. I wanted to say that. I wanted to say if you're interested in the class this Wednesday, go ahead and sign up. If you're online and you're interested in attending this class, email me at revkevin@universalspiritcenter.org. And now let's welcome back Hunter to the platform.
Thank you. Yes, my name's Hunter Tallman. I'm here to share about conscious giving. I have to admit that earlier this week when Kevin asked me to do this, I prepared a nice little talk about community and the importance of giving back. And then this morning, I was getting ready and I was listening to music and a song came on and it was Nina Simone's New World Coming. And there's a line in that song that says, there's a new voice calling. You can hear it if you try. And it really struck me. It really struck me. You know, this past year or so has been especially challenging. There's been a lot of challenges for us as a community, a people, a planet, and for myself personally. If you don't know, my husband and I have been on a 3-year journey towards parenthood. And this last year, we've had a lot of ups and downs. And a part of the process is they write a report about everything you've ever done wrong in your life. And ours is the longest one they've ever written. So, yes, I can laugh about it now, but sitting down and reading that is tough. And, you know, it seems we keep approaching the finish line. We're on a racetrack, and then they say, actually, it's going to be 3 more laps. And this has happened multiple times. And a part of me has been saying, well, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not good enough. I'm tethering myself to that old idea of I'm not enough. And when I heard that this morning, the amazing thing is, in an instant, it changed. And I felt worthy. And it wasn't about being good enough or smart enough or rich enough, because I just simply was. And I think that ability for me to recognize that and to switch it just like that comes from everything I've gotten from here. Every Sunday, every class, becoming a prayer practitioner not only saved my marriage, I think it probably saved my life. So that's why I choose to support the center financially. Because there is a new voice calling. It is the infinite expansion of the universe. We just have to hear it. So I invite you to hear it. I invite you to support the center financially. I invite you to support your own newness and the newness for all of us. So if you have a gift to give this morning, I invite you to hold it against your heart and repeat after me. With this gift, I give my all. With this gift, I receive it all. I am renewed. I am new. And so it is.
So as we get ready to stimulate and pass around the beautiful basket, you online get an opportunity as well to hit our QR code and share in this divine love and blessings. Join me with It's in Every One of Us. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up all your eyes. We can all know
invite you to stand. If you're comfortable, join hands with each other or place your hands over your heart. Just take a deep breath into this moment right here, right now. Just feel the universe rushing in to support you, to guide you. We just open right now to God's love, to divine presence. Whoever we are, wherever we may be on this journey, we open to love. We call it forth. We let it move through us, transform us, heal us, comfort us, guide us, awaken us, free us. And we know this together as we say. And so it is.
One love, you know the song. One heart, let's get together and be alright. One love, one heart, give thanks and praise to the Lord. Feel alright. Whoa, 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 whoa. One love. Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, y'all. One heart, let's get together and be alright. Hear the children playing all around you. Can't you feel the joy in their hearts? Don't let the anger and sadness drown you. We are here together for all mankind. Oh, one love, one heart. Let's get together and be as one. Everybody, one love, one heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord. Be alright. Whoa, whoa. Let's get together and feel alright. Sing it out loud. One love. Come on. One heart. Let's get together and be as one. One love. One heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord and feel alright. Let's get together and be alright. Have a fantastic Sunday today. Enjoy the sunshine as well as enjoy the rain. I love you all, and when people ask you, why am I shining so? How do you get that glow? You tell them it's